I never thought a simple shift could change everything, Emily whispered to herself as she adjusted her nurse's uniform in the fluorescent-lit hallway of St. Mary's Hospital, the rhythmic beeping of monitors and the distant chatter of medical staff providing an oddly calming backdrop to what would become the most extraordinary day of her life. She moved with practiced efficiency, checking patient charts and administering medications while maintaining a warm, reassuring smile for each child, especially Liam, a small boy with bright eyes who had been admitted earlier for observation. She had watched over him with a careful, protective eye, noticing his anxious glances and soft murmurs as she approached, offering a comforting hand or gentle words. The morning sunlight filtered through the windows, casting a golden hue across the clean, sterile floors, the scent of antiseptic mingling with faint traces of breakfast from the cafeteria below. As she guided Liam to his play area, carefully explaining the activities and ensuring he felt safe, a sudden flurry of commotion near the entrance caught her attention, the swinging doors revealing a rush of visitors and an unexpected tension in the air. Emily instinctively assessed the scene, noting the hurried steps and concerned expressions of staff and parents alike. The energy in the room shifted, a subtle yet palpable sense of urgency brushing against the usual rhythm of her routine. She held Liam close, lowering herself to his level and whispering encouragement. "It's okay, I'm right here." The boy's small hand clutched hers with trust and quiet relief. Her heart rate quickened as she scanned the surroundings, her training kicking in, noting exits, assessing potential threats, and readying herself to act with both caution and compassion. In that moment, a man entered the lobby with an unmistakable presence, his tailored suit and confident stride immediately marking him as someone of influence. His eyes locked on the scene unfolding and then subtly on Emily, recognizing the calm determination radiating from her despite the unfolding chaos. She did not yet know his identity, but she could sense his intrigue, the air thick with unspoken acknowledgement. Emily guided Liam behind a low partition, keeping him out of harm's way while maintaining a composed exterior, her mind analyzing every angle, every possibility, every necessary action to ensure the child's safety without raising alarm. The intensity of the moment heightened as the man's gaze lingered, a silent assessment of character and courage, his presence an unspoken question of trust and capability. Emily's chest rose and fell with controlled breaths, grounding herself in the knowledge that her actions, though seemingly small, could have significant impact. The hospital's usual routine blurred around her, replaced by a focused clarity on protection, care, and the unexpected connection forming in the midst of uncertainty. She glanced at the man again, noticing a subtle nod of recognition and respect, a fleeting acknowledgement that her instinctive bravery had not gone unnoticed. As the day continued, the rhythm of Emily's duties intertwined with the quiet awareness of this powerful observer, every decision, every movement carrying weight beyond the ordinary, the morning light giving way to afternoon shadows. Yet her resolve never wavered, each step measured, each gesture filled with genuine concern for the child. The foundation for a story of courage, recognition, and an unforeseen bond was being laid. Emily's quiet determination set against the backdrop of a hospital that was anything but ordinary on this fateful day. Every sound, every motion, every glance contributing to the unfolding narrative that would soon entwine her life with someone whose presence she could neither ignore nor fully comprehend. Yet in that instant, she remained entirely focused on Liam, his safety, and the instinctive heroism that would define the events to come. Emily guided Liam back to his hospital room, her hand firm yet gentle on his small shoulder, her mind replaying the previous moments over and over, every detail imprinted vividly in her memory. She moved with the quiet urgency of someone who understood the stakes without fully knowing them, the hallway lights reflecting off the polished floors as she ensured every door along the way was closed securely, shielding the boy from unnecessary eyes. Her senses heightened, every sound, every movement noted, the faint hum of medical equipment blending with distant voices creating a tapestry of background noise that both comforted and kept her alert. She settled Liam into his favorite corner with his blanket and small toys, speaking softly. "You are safe now, Liam. I am right here." The boy's grip on her hand loosened slightly, the tension easing from his small body. Emily allowed herself a brief breath, a pause to process the gravity of what had just occurred and the unexpected presence that had witnessed her actions. The man's gaze had been intense yet not threatening. It had carried a silent recognition that stirred a mixture of curiosity and cautious respect within her. She resumed her routine, checking monitors and adjusting IVs with a practiced ease, her eyes occasionally flicking toward the doorway as though expecting him to appear again. The hospital staff continued their work around her, unaware of the intricate dance of observation and protection she had maintained. Emily's thoughts drifted to the importance of presence and attention, the quiet moments of care that made a difference in a child's life. She prepared Liam's afternoon snack with meticulous care, offering choices and explaining each option in a calm, reassuring voice. The boy's eyes brightened at the simple autonomy, a small victory amidst the uncertainty. As she assisted him with his activities, Emily reflected on the unexpected chain of events, the intersection of chance and action, and the silent acknowledgments exchanged between individuals who understood the weight of responsibility. She moved seamlessly between comfort and vigilance, the embodiment of steady composure. The hours passed in a rhythm of care, observation, and reflection, each moment layering the foundation of trust and quiet heroism. Emily took a moment to glance at the window, the light shifting subtly with the afternoon, casting soft shadows across the room. The outside world continued, unaware of the layers of courage, empathy, and dedication unfolding within these walls. She smiled softly at Liam, his small laughter filling the space with warmth, a reminder of the impact of careful attention and steadfast presence. As she continued her rounds, checking on other patients, Emily carried with her the unspoken knowledge that her actions had created ripples, that the morning's events had connected lives in ways yet to be fully realized. The delicate balance of routine and extraordinary circumstance danced through every step, every glance, every word, a testament to the quiet power of compassion and vigilance, shaping a narrative of trust, care, and subtle heroism that would echo beyond the confines of the hospital corridors. Emily's heart remained focused on the boy, her resolve unwavering, the unfolding story a mixture of routine duties elevated by courage, foresight, and an unwavering commitment to those entrusted to her care. The afternoon light filtered softly through the hospital blinds, casting gentle patterns across the room where Emily continued her attentive care for Liam. She guided him through light exercises and playful activities that kept his spirits lifted, all while maintaining a watchful eye on his medical monitors and ensuring every detail of his care was meticulously attended to. The boy's laughter and questions filled the space with warmth, each response a testament to the trust they had developed. In the short but intense hours since the morning incident, Emily moved with a fluid combination of professional skill and nurturing presence, her hands adjusting the positioning of his small arm for comfort, her voice calm and reassuring as she explained each task and choice. "Would you like the red cup or the blue one for your drink?" Liam's eyes brightened, his small fingers selecting eagerly, and Emily smiled softly, noting the subtle shifts in his demeanor as his anxiety ebbed. The room was alive with quiet energy, the soft beeping of monitors harmonizing with the distant chatter of nurses and doctors down the hall. Yet Emily remained a grounded presence in the eye of this controlled storm. She reflected on the gravity of her responsibility, the delicate balance of providing care while observing every nuance of the boy's emotional and physical state. Her mind occasionally flicking to the earlier encounter, the silent acknowledgement from the man who had entered the hospital unannounced, the weight of that gaze still lingering subtly in her consciousness. She allowed herself a brief moment of reflection while wiping a small smudge from Liam's blanket, noticing the tiny details, the pattern on his pajamas, the angle of his shoes, the way his hair fell across his forehead, each small observation contributing to a holistic sense of well-being. As she engaged him with coloring sheets and stories, Emily noticed Liam's curiosity sparked by the illustrations, pointing and asking questions that led her to provide gentle guidance and encouragement, reinforcing his confidence and sense of security. The room became a sanctuary of focused care and quiet joy, Emily's professionalism interwoven seamlessly with the genuine warmth that enveloped the boy. She anticipated his needs before they were voiced, adjusting the environment to optimize comfort and engagement, ensuring the sunlight, the temperature, and the ambient sounds all contributed positively to his experience. The afternoon passed with a rhythm of subtle attentiveness and active nurturing. Emily's thoughts occasionally drifted to the broader picture, the implications of her actions, the silent recognition of courage and presence from unexpected quarters, and the growing bond between caregiver and child. Each shared smile, each gentle correction, each moment of attentive observation building a layer of trust and safety. She ensured that every small detail, from the alignment of pillows to the pace of activities, contributed to an environment that allowed Liam to feel secure, understood, and cherished. The afternoon fading gently into evening, Emily remained fully present, her dedication unwavering, the quiet heroism of care and attention forming a narrative of protection, support, and growing confidence that would shape the boys' recovery and their connection. For days to come, evening settled gently over St. Mary's Hospital, transforming the bright hallways into quieter corridors illuminated by soft overhead lights and the occasional glow from nurses' stations. And, for the first time since her shift had begun, Emily allowed herself a brief moment to breathe, standing beside the window at the end of the pediatric wing and watching the city lights flicker to life beyond the glass, each one representing a family, a story, a life moving forward. And somehow that thought comforted her, because despite the uncertainty of the day, Liam was safe, smiling, and finally resting peacefully. She glanced back toward his room and saw him sleeping soundly beneath his blanket, his small hand wrapped around a stuffed bear someone had brought earlier, the sight easing a tension she had carried for hours. Yet even as relief settled in, she sensed that the day was not truly over. There was a strange feeling lingering beneath the surface, an awareness that something important was about to happen. And moments later that feeling proved correct when she turned and saw the same man from earlier walking quietly down the hallway, his presence commanding attention. Without demanding it, dressed in a dark tailored coat that seemed almost out of place among the hospital staff, yet somehow fitting perfectly around him, he moved with calm confidence, his expression unreadable but focused, and as he approached, Emily felt a mixture of curiosity and caution she could not fully explain. He stopped several feet away and looked toward Liam's room before meeting her gaze, neither speaking for several seconds, the silence carrying more weight than most conversations. Finally he nodded slightly and said, "He seems comfortable." His voice was low, steady, and controlled. Emily folded her arms lightly and answered, "He is doing much better now." The man looked through the glass again, his attention fixed on the sleeping child, and for the first time she noticed something unexpected beneath his composed exterior. Concern, genuine concern, the kind that could not be performed or hidden. It existed naturally, quietly, and without explanation. "You stayed with him all day," he observed. Emily shrugged gently. "That is my job." A faint smile appeared on his face, small enough that most people would have missed it. "No," he replied. "Your job ended hours ago," Emily found herself momentarily speechless because he was right. Technically her shift should have ended long before. Yet she had chosen to remain nearby, checking on Liam between tasks, ensuring he felt safe and supported. She looked away briefly before answering. "Some patients need more than medication." The man studied her carefully, as though committing the words to memory, and for a moment neither moved, the hallway around them fading into background noise. Nurses passing by, carts rolling across polished floors, distant announcements echoing through speakers, all of it becoming secondary to the quiet understanding forming between two strangers from completely different worlds. Eventually he extended his hand. "Vincent Moretti," he said simply. Emily accepted the handshake, surprised by the warmth of his grip and the sincerity in his eyes. "Emily Carter," she replied. Vincent nodded once as though confirming something he already knew, then glanced back toward Liam's room. "He talks about you constantly." Emily laughed softly, the tension easing from her shoulders. "That is because I let him win at cards." Vincent's expression softened again, this time more noticeably, and for a brief second he looked less like a powerful man accustomed to control and more like a father relieved to see his son smiling. The moment passed quickly, but Emily noticed it, and somehow that small glimpse felt more meaningful than anything else that had happened that day. Because behind the confidence, the mystery, and the influence, she had finally seen the human being beneath it all, and without realizing it, the first foundation of trust had quietly begun to form. As the evening shadows lengthened across the quiet hospital corridors, Emily felt a mix of relief and anticipation, her mind replaying the events of the day and the small moments that had built a fragile bridge of trust between her and Vincent. She adjusted the sleeve of her scrubs and glanced at the chart beside Liam's bed, noting his stable vitals and the slight color returning to his cheeks. The soft hum of machines and distant chatter from the nurse's station created a calm background as she walked slowly down the hallway toward the staff lounge, each step measured yet thoughtful, reflecting on the unexpected weight of responsibility that had fallen on her shoulders, moments of care that had become instinctive, the way she had shielded the child during the earlier emergency, and how that single decision had brought a powerful man into her day in a manner she had never anticipated. She paused at the lounge entrance, the door half open revealing a few colleagues enjoying brief respite, but her attention remained fixed on the thought of Vincent, his presence lingering even in the silence, and she realized that the line between professional detachment and human connection was more delicate than she had imagined. Moments later, a soft knock on the lounge door pulled her from reflection. She turned to see Vincent standing there, his posture relaxed yet commanding a presence that filled the room without a single word. The subtle curve of his mouth suggested a hint of acknowledgement for the careful watch she had maintained over his son. Emily's expression softened as she stepped aside to let him enter. He moved with deliberate ease, choosing a seat across from her, the space between them charged not with tension, but a quiet understanding of shared concern. "You did well today," he said, his voice even and calm, yet carrying an undercurrent of gratitude that was unmistakable. Emily nodded, a small smile forming as she replied, "It was nothing extraordinary, just doing my job." Vincent leaned back slightly, studying her with a careful gaze, not invasive but attentive, noting the way she held herself, the confidence balanced with a hint of vulnerability. "Most people would have panicked," he observed, and she could see in his eyes a rare mixture of respect and sincerity. Emily responded quietly, "I didn't have the luxury of panic." The moment stretched, filled with unspoken acknowledgement of the day's events and the quiet heroism displayed not through grand gestures but through steady, consistent care. Outside, the city lights reflected in the windows, a reminder that life continued beyond these walls. Yet inside, the quiet connection between nurse and guardian had been established. Small gestures, words, and presence weaving a complex tapestry of trust and mutual recognition. Vincent's attention eventually shifted back toward Liam's room, as if to silently check on his son, and Emily followed his glance, her heart lightened by the knowledge that the child was safe, and in that safety, they both found a subtle, unspoken reassurance. The room filled with a calm energy, two individuals from vastly different worlds sharing a moment of quiet understanding, the night pressing softly against the glass, outside sounds fading, and within the gentle hum of hospital life, Emily and Vincent sat in reflective silence, the foundation of connection strengthened by the day's events, a bond formed in quiet observation, in care, and in mutual respect, ready to face what tomorrow might bring. The night had settled over the city, soft lights casting elongated shadows across the quiet hospital corridors as Emily moved with careful steps, her mind still reflecting on the morning's events and the subtle shifts in the connection she had begun to notice with Vincent. She adjusted her uniform and checked the monitor readings once more, noting that Liam's vitals remained stable and his small breaths came easy and untroubled. The hum of machines and distant footfalls of nurses created a gentle rhythm, a background to the stillness that filled the space between thoughts and actions. She paused briefly outside the pediatric wing, the memory of shielding the child earlier lingering vividly, the weight of that choice pressing in a quiet, reflective manner. Vincent's presence was not far from her mind. The commanding aura of the man mingled with a sense of gratitude and unspoken acknowledgement for the care she had given. Emily found herself adjusting to the duality of this moment. The calm professional environment overlaid with subtle tension and unspoken connections. She entered the lounge, and there was Vincent, seated in quiet observation, his posture poised and his eyes focused yet gentle, the light catching the lines of his face, revealing a rare vulnerability beneath the carefully maintained exterior. He offered a small nod as she approached, acknowledging her dedication without the need for overt words. Emily responded with a faint smile, a gesture of mutual recognition and quiet relief that the day's events had passed without further incident. They shared the space in a manner that balanced distance and familiarity, the room charged with a silent understanding of responsibility, protection, and cautious trust. A brief exchange of soft-spoken words about patient progress, and the subtle hum of care continued. Vincent's glance shifted periodically toward Liam's room, and Emily followed, noting the quiet satisfaction in his posture as the boy slept peacefully. She felt a quiet pride in the role she had played, the lines between duty and human empathy intertwining seamlessly. The night pressed gently against the window panes, outside the distant sounds of the city offering a muted contrast to the controlled environment within. Emily and Vincent moved in tandem through these small, measured moments, the weight of earlier events softened by their shared vigilance, and a quiet understanding formed between them, not through dramatic gestures but through steady attentiveness, small acknowledgments, and the silent bond formed by protecting another. As the night deepened, the hospital settled into a rhythm of quiet continuity, Emily feeling both relief and anticipation for what the next shift would bring, yet grounded in the knowledge that they had navigated the challenges together, the presence of Vincent adding a subtle, stabilizing forced to her otherwise routine vigilance, and in this quiet interplay of care and awareness, a foundation was laid, built on trust, attention, and a shared recognition of responsibility, the night holding them in reflective equilibrium, each mindful of their roles, yet quietly aware of the connection slowly developing between them. The first light of morning slipped through the hospital windows, painting soft gold across the floor as Emily began another shift, and for the first time in days she felt a sense of calm settling over the pediatric wing. Liam was recovering well, his energy returning with each passing day, and the nurses who had worried about him now smiled whenever they passed his room. The atmosphere had changed, lighter and warmer, yet beneath that comfort Emily sensed that something inside her had changed as well. She could not ignore the growing awareness she felt whenever Vincent was nearby, not because of his reputation or the influence that seemed to follow him wherever he went, but because of the quiet consistency he had shown as a father. Every morning he arrived before most visitors, every evening he remained until Liam was asleep, and throughout it all he never demanded special treatment, never raised his voice, never behaved as though the world owed him anything. Instead he listened carefully whenever Emily explained a treatment plan, asked thoughtful questions, and thanked every nurse who helped his son. The contrast between expectation and reality fascinated her. Later that afternoon she stepped outside onto a small hospital courtyard during a brief break, the fresh air carrying the scent of flowers from the landscaped gardens. She closed her eyes for a moment and enjoyed the warmth of the sunlight against her face, only to hear a familiar voice nearby. "You finally decided to take a break," Vincent said, standing several feet away with a cup of coffee in his hand. Emily laughed softly. "Apparently everyone in this hospital monitors my schedule except me." Vincent smiled, and the expression transformed his normally serious features, making him seem younger, more approachable. He walked over and handed her the coffee. "You forgot this in the family lounge earlier." Emily accepted it, surprised he had noticed. "Thank you," she said, and for a moment they stood in comfortable silence watching the movement of people across the courtyard. Parents pushing strollers, visitors carrying flowers, staff members rushing between buildings, ordinary moments unfolding beneath a bright blue sky. "You know," Vincent said eventually, "most people spend their lives searching for purpose." Emily glanced toward him, curious. "And?" He looked at her thoughtfully before answering. "You walk into work every day already knowing yours." The words caught her off guard because they sounded sincere, not flattering, not rehearsed, simply honest. She looked down at the coffee cup in her hands, unsure how to respond. "Some days it does not feel that simple," she admitted quietly. Vincent nodded, understanding more than she expected. "The people who make the biggest difference rarely realize how much they matter." Emily felt an unfamiliar warmth rise in her chest, and for the first time she found herself looking at him not as Liam's father or a powerful businessman, but as someone carrying burdens of his own, someone who understood responsibility and sacrifice in ways she was only beginning to see. Their conversation continued naturally, moving from childhood memories to favorite books, from travel dreams to small moments that shaped their lives, and the more they spoke, the more the distance between their worlds seemed to shrink. Eventually Emily glanced at her watch and realized nearly 40 minutes had passed, far longer than she intended, yet it felt like only minutes. Vincent noticed her surprise and chuckled softly. "I should probably let you get back to saving people," Emily smiled, shaking her head. "And I should probably let you get back to worrying about Liam." Vincent looked toward the hospital building and then back at her, his expression thoughtful. "For the first time in a while," he said quietly, "I am not worried." And as Emily walked back inside, carrying her coffee and a smile she could not quite explain, she realized that some connections arrive unexpectedly, not with grand declarations or dramatic moments but through simple conversations, shared understanding, and the rare comfort of being truly seen. The late afternoon sun poured golden light across the hospital corridor as Emily moved briskly between patient rooms, her focus unwavering despite the fatigue that threatened to slow her down. She had barely caught her breath since the morning, yet the warmth of a quiet accomplishment followed her with each step. Liam's laughter echoed softly from a nearby room, a sound that had grown stronger over the past days, reminding Emily of the progress he had made and the resilience of the human spirit. She paused briefly at the nurse's station to review charts and coordinate care, unaware that Vincent had arrived earlier than expected, his presence unannounced, and she felt a subtle shift in the atmosphere as he approached, not intrusive, merely observant. He held a small gift in his hand, a simple gesture that contrasted with the intimidating image he usually projected in business circles. "I thought this might brighten your day," he said gently, offering the carefully wrapped package. Emily looked up, slightly startled, her eyes meeting his, noticing the quiet depth in his gaze that conveyed a complex mixture of gratitude, respect, and subtle admiration. She accepted the gift with a grateful smile, and for a moment they stood together in unspoken acknowledgement of the bond that had formed over shared concern for Liam's well-being. As they continued walking toward the pediatric wing, their conversation drifted from Liam's latest milestones to lighter subjects, yet each topic was infused with a natural ease, a growing familiarity that neither had anticipated. Outside the windows, the late sun reflected off polished floors, casting long shadows that seemed to mirror the intricacies of their interaction. Emily's heart felt unexpectedly buoyant, her earlier anxiety replaced by a calm confidence in their rapport. They arrived at Liam's room just as he was finishing a playful game with another nurse, his small voice full of excitement. Vincent knelt beside him, engaging in the game with a gentle seriousness, and Emily observed the subtle patience and attentiveness he displayed, qualities that softened the edge of his otherwise commanding presence. As Liam finally settled into his bed with a tired but contented smile, Emily and Vincent exchanged a brief glance that communicated more than words could capture, a mutual recognition of the trust that had been cultivated. Emily's thoughts wandered to the unexpected turns of life, how moments of vulnerability could reveal profound connections, and how ordinary days could become extraordinary. Through compassion, attention, and care, she reflected on her own role in this evolving narrative, the responsibility she carried not just as a nurse but as a presence that could influence outcomes and foster confidence. While Vincent's demeanor suggested that even those accustomed to control and authority could value the subtle power of empathy, their shared attention to Liam's comfort created a small sanctuary amidst the bustling hospital, a space where respect and appreciation coexisted naturally. As the evening light softened and the wing quieted, Emily understood that trust was not demanded but earned, and that these quiet demonstrations of attentiveness would echo far longer than the fleeting moments of recognition. She felt a renewed sense of purpose and quietly hoped that these bonds, formed through genuine care and patience, would continue to deepen, a realization that even in worlds as different as theirs, human connection remained the most profound and transformative element. As they left the room together, the hallway stretching before them felt less like a path of duty and more like a corridor of possibilities, where understanding and quiet respect guided every step, and the gentle hum of the hospital became a backdrop to the unfolding trust and recognition between them. As the evening sky deepened into shades of indigo, Emily stood near the hospital entrance, watching the city lights flicker on one by one, reflecting on the events that had unfolded over the past days, the quiet victories, the moments of tension, and the connections that had unexpectedly grown between her and Vincent. She recalled how their paths had crossed in ways neither could have anticipated, the courage they had witnessed in Liam, and the subtle gestures of trust and understanding that had formed between them. Now, as she adjusted her scrubs and prepared to leave for the day, she noticed Vincent approaching with a calm and deliberate pace, his presence steady and reassuring. He carried no overt gestures, only the quiet confidence that had always marked his demeanor. As he reached her, he greeted her with a respectful nod, and for a moment, their eyes met in a silent acknowledgement of all they had shared. Emily felt a warmth in her chest, a mixture of gratitude, relief, and an unspoken appreciation for the way he had respected her professionalism while offering support without intrusion. Together, they walked through the hospital corridor, the soft echo of their footsteps mingling with the distant hum of machines and murmurs from other staff members, each step reinforcing the sense of partnership and mutual respect. They paused near the pediatric wing, observing Liam engaged in a playful activity with a volunteer, his laughter filling the space and evoking a sense of joy that was contagious. Vincent leaned slightly to whisper a light comment that made Emily smile, a rare moment of levity that softened the weight of their responsibilities. As the night deepened, they continued their conversation, moving seamlessly from updates on hospital operations to lighter topics, their dialogue natural and unforced, revealing layers of understanding and compatibility that had been building steadily. Emily reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. From initial apprehension to a shared sense of purpose, she realized that the true impact of their connection extended beyond professional courtesy into a space where trust, empathy, and subtle care created a lasting bond. Vincent's attentiveness and composed demeanor provided a sense of stability, and Emily's compassion and insight offered a complementary balance. As they reached the exit, they lingered momentarily, exchanging a few parting words that hinted at future collaboration and a continued respect for one another's strengths. The city outside buzzed softly with life, yet within this moment, there was a quiet stillness, a recognition of shared experience, mutual respect, and the profound effect of consistent kindness and attentiveness. Emily understood that the actions, gestures, and words exchanged in these past days had not only shaped the immediate circumstances but had also laid a foundation for enduring trust, professional admiration, and the possibility of a lasting connection that was built on understanding, empathy, and mutual regard. As she stepped out into the cool night air, she felt a renewed sense of purpose, a confident awareness of the positive impact they could have together, and a deep appreciation for the quiet strength and resilience that defined the bond between them. Knowing that moments of care and attentiveness, though subtle, had the power to create meaningful and lasting connections.